Hi guys, what's up? Joshua Tharby here. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today we're talking all about dividends. What are they? How are they taxed? What does it mean for you? I'm giving you the full 101 today in this video, everything you need to know about dividends. So the first thing to know is, what are dividends? So you've probably heard this term coined about a lot. Maybe your accountant mentions it, you see it on Facebook, on the internet, in your business textbooks. What are dividends? So we'll start with the Wikipedia definition of what a dividend is. And here we go. A dividend is a distribution of profits by a corporation to its shareholders. When a corporation earns a profit or surplus, it is able to pay a proportion of the profit as a dividend to shareholders. Any amount not distributed is taken to be reinvested in the business. So that's straight from Wikipedia. What does this really mean? A lot of jargon here. So where you've got a limited company, or even a limited company, be it a private one or a public one, it pays dividends to its shareholders. It's basically a way of getting money out of the company. If it's been a good year, you've got profits, this is paid out. So whether you've got shares in your own limited company and you want to extract money tax efficiently, which dividends certainly are a great way to do this, or if you've got shares in Tesco, Sainsbury's, any of these big limited companies, they pay dividends out as well, and it's actually taxed the same, whether you're getting dividends from shares in a small limited company, that one that you own perhaps, or a large public limited company. So the focus of this video is really going to be on small business owners who have got their own limited companies and how dividends are taken from those. So the first thing to mention is that dividends can only be paid from profit. So you must have made a profit in that year and you must have retained profits in order to pay dividends. So if your company's had a series of making losses and you've got a negative retained earnings on your balance sheet, this means you cannot pay dividends. It's been a legal dividend and it needs to be repaid. Otherwise, there are some pretty significant tax consequences of doing this. It wouldn't be an allowable dividend, essentially. So you need retained profits, you need to have made a profit either in this year or previous years in order to pay a dividend. One thing to note is that even if you made a loss this year, so if you made a £10,000 loss this year, but over the past 5 years, you've made say £50,000, you've not taken it out, and you've got £50,000 worth of retained profits, because you've got those retained, even though you made a loss this year, you can still take the money out as a dividend. Another thing to mention is they're not an allowable expense for corporation tax purposes. So as soon as you pay your corporation tax at 19% currently, it's only after that you can start to take dividends, because it's the retained earnings, it's what's left after all your expenses have been paid, your tax has been paid, all the salaries. It's basically what's left, the actual profit after everything's been paid, and then only then it can be paid as dividends to shareholders. So the dividend allowance, what is it? So for every UK taxpayer, you've actually got an allowance, which is a tax-free amount for dividend income. So you can receive £2,000 per year in dividend income, completely tax-free. So if that's shares from big companies or your own limited company, you can pull these dividends out and it's completely tax-free. So if you've got overemployment income and you just received £2,000 worth of dividend income, you don't need to file a tax return. But of course, if you're pulling over money from your company and you're taking more in dividends, you will need to file a self-assessment tax return in order to pay the additional tax that's due. So great, if you take more than £2,000 per year in dividends, how are they actually taxed? Well, it all depends on what band you're in from a tax point of view, whether you're in the basic rate, higher or additional rate, because the rates of tax differ depending on which slice and which band the income falls into. So for basic rate taxpayers, of course, you get your first $2,000 tax-free for all taxpayers. But after that, it's 7.5%, the income tax you pay on dividend income. For a higher rate taxpayer, it's 32.5%, and then an additional rate taxpayer, it goes up to a whopping 38.1%. And remember, if you've actually taken these from your own limited company, that company's already paid corporation tax on those, so the tax can be pretty bloody expensive. So, in order to pay dividends, you have to have the retained profits. That's what we've mentioned previously, but how do you know whether you've got retained profits or not, and when can you pay them? Do you have to wait until the end of the year? Can you pay them now? Well, ultimately you can pay them whenever you want. It's at the discretion of the directors and the shareholders as to when they make a dividend payment. All you have to do is better show that you've got profits at the time. So if you've got management accounts, if you're paying it partway through the year, as long as you can evidence that you've got sufficient retained profits in order to make that dividend legal, you've got that, save that evidence, because then you can pay the dividend at any point you want. If you wait until the end of your accounting year in order to see how much profit you've made, it might actually be too late to find that it falls into another tax year and you've lost your dividend allowance, because you have to receive those dividends in that tax year in order to make use of that dividend allowance. So what is an interim dividend? Importantly, an interim dividend only needs sign off from the directors rather than the shareholders in order to make it payable. And also, for an interim dividend, it's actually taxed when the dividends are received rather than when the dividend is declared. So from a tax point of view, it makes sense to put all of your dividends through as interim dividends and only finalise them at a later date when they're actually paid and everything's signed off and done and dusted, because you have that flexibility. So if you declare an interim dividend but you've not actually got the cash to pay it, say for instance a supplier or a customer hasn't paid you yet, you've not got the cash but you want to take the dividend out as soon as it's available, because you've done it as an interim dividend, you can do that and only pay the tax on it when you actually receive it. So a final dividend is similar to an interim dividend. It's proposed by the directors, but it also needs shareholder approval as well in order for it to be legal. And on top of this, as soon as you declare a final dividend, it becomes due and payable. So as soon as you declare that final dividend, that's the tax point, and at which point it will be taxed. So if you declare a final dividend now, but don't actually take it out of the company, say for instance a couple of months, if that falls into a new tax year, you're going to have tax to pay now rather than at the end of the next tax year, as would be the case if you've done it as an interim dividend. So for this reason, we always suggest taking dividends as interim, because you do keep that flexibility. So when declaring a dividend, you should always have board minutes that support that a meeting was held by the directors and have recommended a dividend of X amount per share, or it could be, if you've got different share classes, you can have different dividend amounts per share class. All of this should be documented using board minutes and kept as part of the company's statutory records, and also a dividend voucher should be prepared and passed to every single shareholder that receives a dividend, so that they can give this to their accountant and have got this on hand, so when it comes to filing their personal tax return, they can see exactly how much dividend income they've taken and they know exactly how it's going to be taxed. So as you've seen in our previous videos about how to pay yourself with salary and interest, dividends really are a fantastic way to take money from your limited company. The reason for this is if you've got dividend income, or if you've got profits in your company, they're going to be taxed at 19% regardless, unless you've taken them out, because dividends are not an allowable expense for tax purposes, so it's always going to pay 19% corporation tax on that income. But if you want to bring that out to enjoy personally, you can do so with only paying 7.5% whilst in your basic rate band. So for the current tax year, that's £50,000 of income, be it a mix of salary, interest and dividends, that you can draw out with potentially paying only 7.5% income tax on those. So this really is a fantastic way to extract cash from your limited company. And for this reason, dividends really are popular. It's what we recommend to a lot of clients when it comes to taking money from their business. So I hope you've enjoyed this video and you've certainly learned something and taken away from it. Do check out my other videos, because we've got more fantastic tax saving content out there and available for free for you guys. But if there's anything that you want to go through in more detail, or anything you want covering, do drop it in the comments, because I will try my best to do it for you guys. Have a great day.